you for joining. This is Chris Ehmke, and you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Today, guys, we have a great episode, Mr. 4,000 Horsepower. Before we get him on, we do have a special guest, Tim. How are you doing?
How's it going, guys? Good to be back.
No, hey, I appreciate you not tuning a truck for once to give me a little bit of time to have on a guest that we've had on many times throughout the years. Good friend of yours.
Yep.
Good friend of me. For the record, he only agreed to come on because you were going to be on the episode.
Okay. I mean, he is this is basically our hometown hero, you know?
He is. I mean, he's from a town or two away. So without further ado, Josh McCormack, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm glad I could be here.
Well, and when you say be here, you're where?
On your guys' podcast.
Yeah, but where are you right now in the grand scheme of things?
I'm currently driving, actually, back up to Cedar City to get ready for a weekend on the Edge, which is happening this weekend.
Okay, so are you bringing the truck again?
So probably not, and the only reason why we're not is we need to pull the transmission apart. So the biggest hurdle that we're finding, besides the block potentially becoming a projectile, is the transmission side. So, like, I guess to make it real easy, like UCC this year, when we did our 3,100 something numbers, we had a 48RE in it. Now, on that 48RE, when we did the dyno poll, we started at 3,800, and pretty much a majority of the time that I was full throttle, we were riding a 6,000 RPM fuel limiter. So the way I have the Bosch set up is once we get past 5,500 RPM, it actually starts to pull fuel away to kind of just keep the truck nice and secure at 6,000 RPM.
Okay.
Well, when we came back from UCC and did all the damage assessment, what we found is the 48 transmission that I built, the forward clutch, so the third gear clutch or the most forward clutch in a 48, what ended up happening is it slipped. And it had a bunch of marks all over it, a bunch of hot spots. So I decided that me, myself, and Meyer and Ethan Patterson all kind of put our brains together. And then with a Harbor Freight lathe, we changed some stuff. We changed our torque converter. And the whole goal was to control the RPM slip. So our UCC dyno graph, I think 5,100 to 6,000. So we slipped about 900 to 1,100 RPM, depending on how you look at that graph. And then that was the big push. So when we ran just this past weekend at Diesels in the Mountains, we actually ran the same nitrous, same fuel, same everything as Ultimate Callout Challenge. But instead of the transmission slipping about 1,000-ish RPM, it slipped about 300 RPM. So we were able to basically reflect more of what the engine was actually producing through the transmission than before.
Reproduce basically what you guys did at UCC this year with with the changes you guys just made. And what was that good for? Take all the other stuff we started talking about earlier, non-corrected. What was that good for? The slipping, the non-slipping.
Okay, so uncorrected at Ultimate College Challenge we did, I think it's 28.98. It could have been 29.88. I don't really remember. I just remember it wasn't 3,000.
Okay.
Like, that was a big deal to me. And then now we are currently sitting at 3,283 horsepower corrected, or uncorrected, excuse me.
Just by fixing the same setup you guys brought to the table in June.
Correct. Yep. So somewhere between 200 to 300 horsepower additional uncorrected horsepower through the transmission. And like once this weekend was all done and people were asking, like, there is still more in it. Now, whether we'll be able to get all of that out of it, I do not know. But that's why I can confidently, like, there is more, because the transmission is still slipping. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then forget the fact that, what is the elevation that you guys were running at this last weekend?
I think it was like 5,300, somewhere around there. Like, it's pretty high up.
Yeah, and I've always kind of gone off of the the 3% for every 1,000 feet there. So I mean, you're in my world, you're talking about a 15% or so correction.
Yeah, and I mean the thing, like corrected, uncorrected, if everyone posted uncorrected numbers, then cool. But every parts manufacturer, for the most part, every dyno event, for the most part, like they're posting corrected numbers, which is fine. But I guess my biggest problem is when it's corrected, uncorrected, people argue back and forth. Like, I just kept telling people, like, have that same energy for everything. That, like, if correction factor doesn't count, then I'm good with that. But we still set the record even uncorrected. I think the previous uncorrected record was like 3,080. And I think it was either Greg Alvarella or Justin Ziegler that had that uncorrected record. And, for me, like, I don't own a business anymore. Like, I purely do this just because I love to do this for some strange reason. And, like, it was just cool for me to go out there and make an improvement. I had kind of joked, like, maybe we could make 4,000. And I think, honestly, like, once we finished the poll, like, Cody had to, like, double look at the screen to make sure, like, in the driver's seat, it felt great. Like, it didn't slip like it did at UCC.
Didn't blow a tire.
Like, it felt great. And so I knew, like, we at least made 3. And then, like, we had to do a double take at the screen to see that 4,000 number. So it was pretty cool. Like, I won't lie.
No, insane, man. It's insane. I mean, to talk between 3,000 horsepower. When did Chris's unofficial 3,000? Was that 3 or 4 years ago now?
2021 or 22, I thought.
I want to say it was 2022. Yeah, because 2021 KOS is when Chris made his first 3,000 horsepower on the KOS dyno.
Yep.
And then I believe it was Weekend on the Edge in September of 2022 that Chris made the 3401 number.
Yeah. So here we are, and you guys are going to the same event. You're talking about potentially bringing the truck or not bringing it. I guess I'm spiraling here, but one of the comments that I was reading after this weekend that stuck out to me, you made the mention of it 2 minutes ago. You no longer own a business. You do this stuff for fun. You're basically a full-time dad is what you've told me, and you built a 4,000 or a 3,000 plus horsepower truck out of your 2-car garage.
That is correct. Yeah. So I'm very, very lucky. The opportunity presented itself to be a stay-at-home dad, and we took it. And I think my kids enjoy it. I think my wife enjoys it. I certainly. It was a change. I won't lie, but it's been a change for the better. And at the end of the day, I love diesel motorsports. I'll always still be involved with it. But it was nice. Like last year, I took the whole year off, and I just spent time with my family. Like, it was very good for my family.
No, dude, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I remember racing with you at King of the Streets in 19 and King of the Streets in 21. I don't think you raced in 19. I think you were just there. And in 21, we had a conversation. I was just like, I don't know how you do this, dude. You're halfway across the country. Yeah. You're without your family. I mean, you can see it in the morale you brought this last year and just your not your confidence, but just like who you are as a person, man. It's been really awesome to see. And then to go out, I mean, for me, out of nowhere, I don't really even know, this late in the year, to me, it's like, oh, King of the Streets is coming up. But otherwise, like, nobody else is really pushing on power.
No.
And then, to go up and throw even a 3 or a 4,000, right, that elusive 4,000 horsepower number, you're being casual about accepting it. But I'm going to go ahead and accept it. I mean, that's just, it shows who you are as a person in your drive and your instinct and everything else.
I mean, my biggest thing, like, I'll probably never be the fastest. I'll never sled pull the farthest. I'm sure somebody will knock the horsepower record down. But, like, for me, like, just trying to pass it on to other people so that way this thing that I love, other people can enjoy. And, I mean, I don't have to tell you or Chris, like, you spend all your money on that first build and it doesn't go right, like, you might never do it again. So trying to be available within reason to, like, answer people's questions and let them know, like, hey, I probably wouldn't do that. It doesn't work out well. And just try to I don't know, try to be positive about it. Like, coming up in this industry, at first, like, I hit a lot of roadblocks. The term gatekeeping always comes to, like, the front of everyone's brain. And there was some of that for me. And then I think for me, the big thing was, like, everyone realized that no matter what happened, I probably wasn't going to give up. Like, I might take a minute to recoup some funds, but I was very dedicated for my time and my money. And I think ultimately that opened way more doors than anything else for me. Like, just, if I said I was going to do something, I was either going to do it and fail or do it. And I would show up to the events I said I was going to show up to, and I would try to prepare and put my best foot forward. And, you know, when people come up and talk to you or message you, like, you know, try to push people in the right direction, or give them, you know, 5 minutes of your time to just explain stuff in hopes that it makes them an enthusiast as well.
But you also are broadcasting everything with the Horse Torques YouTube channel, right? It's not smoking mirrors. I remember, you know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, when the publications were really popular, the magazines, you know, you only ever got one side of the story, that whole gatekeeping mentality of you call a shop and you want to make X amount of power. It's all, you know, rainbows and fairy tales. It's definitely doable. And I would say, to your point, a majority of enthusiasts get out of the motorsport space because they think, okay, I'm going to buy this one $8,000, $10,000 trans. I'm going to buy this one $18,000 motor. I'm going to buy this one set of $4,000 injectors, and I have a badass truck and it's set. And that's not even close. That's not going to be the last $10,000 trans you put in the truck. That's not going to be the last $18,000 motor you put into the truck. And the reality of it is the best parts in the world and the best tuner in the world doesn't mean it's going to work first try either. So it's a lot of trials and tribulations that take time in order to get everything dialed in. And I think, like you mentioned, I'll say that I'm going to do this, and then I show up to the event. Yeah, that's a value, but I think the YouTube stuff is the biggest value. Like, there is no smoking mirrors. You're very transparent. It's all documented, right, to get to this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I try to be as transparent as possible. You know, the only time I withhold information, like, I showed the trans going back together. I didn't show what I did, because I was like, man, I don't want somebody to stumble upon this as their first video and be like, wow, that clearly did not work, you know? So we'll do, like, a more in-depth dive on, like, what we did to the trans to get it to hold. I withhold certain information until I can verify that it worked.
Yeah, no,
right?
Makes sense. Totally. So where do you, like, what's next for you? Right? What's next for the truck? What's next for...
Well, it's 5,000 horse.
Yeah, it's 5,000. I mean, so I was talking to David a little bit. Me and him go back and forth. You know, to me, what you guys did over the last 3 or 4 years, your truck, yes, it's a racing, it's a performance truck. You kind of dumb that down a little bit, and you back into David's truck, which is a 2,200 horsepower street truck. Like, to me, that is also super impressive, and I give you credit there as much as him. What's the story with King of the Streets? Are you guys going? Is it his truck? Is it your truck? Is it everybody's truck? What's your guys' plan?
So right now, David is competing, and then Meyer Stump from Power Driven is going to go out. Okay. So between David and Meyer, I'm sure I'll be busy swapping parts and everything else.
Well, you're paying back the UCC, them helping you out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, even like all those events, like, you know, I've had Chad, I've had Meyer, I've had David, Keeley, Brandon, you know, and even Dave's brother Doug has come out. And, like, when people want to go do cool stuff, like, the problem with KOS for me is I won it 3 years in a row. And the first year felt incredible. The second year was decent. The third year, like, everyone was basically like, if you don't win, like, wow, you suck. And
if you do win, you cheated, and if you don't win, you suck.
Yeah, and I think my last year I won KOS, I think I only dropped 50 or 60 points the whole entire event. So it got to be the point where I just kept wanting to better my score. And, you know, I also don't want to discourage people. I mean, I think it's the same reason why, like, Levon doesn't do UCC anymore, or why Diesel Power Challenge has just the back-to-back rule. Like, you need fresh people coming in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be the reason somebody sat at home. And also when I'm at that event, like, you know, I got to do dyno ride-alongs with people, and try to coach them on their setup and stuff like that. And only if they want to. Like, I'm not trying to force anybody, but like, I'm happy to go ride along in your truck on a dyno pole to make sure you get the most horsepower. Like,
I mean, that's all the stuff we wish we had someone to do with. You know, for me, it was 5-6 years ago, right? I mean, you were kind of where I was. You know, I look at it as we both in that, I don't know, 18, 19 era, whatever. You know, I remember whatever the first King of the Streets was at the first one you raced at that I was thinking it was 21, and your truck made like 1,700 horsepower, right? And it's like, that's like you're kind of getting your feet wet. You're trying to figure this stuff out. You're guessing with motors and transmissions on a 3-second load on the dyno. So I mean, it's nice to see you giving back. I mean, I think we can both say we've all wished we had that person there at those times, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's like anything. Like, we have a dyno setup, we have a drag race setup, we have a dirt drag setup, we have a sled pull setup. Like, the dyno at the end of the day, like, it's a competition, so I put a lot of effort. Even at UCC, like, we set up the truck way different when we dyno than we drag race or when we sled pull. Like, you know, now you guys have seen, like, I have that weight rack in the hitch. Like, what we found is when you start making that crazy, like, RPM pulls like that, it's very easy for the tires to just not hold. So what we found is you add about 500-600 pounds of tractor weight about 4 feet from the axle, and it really kind of fights down into the roller.
Just for the record, at UCC, I strapped that strap myself.
Well, I'm thinking like it's leverage and it's leaning down because it's hanging out further. So it's not just that 500-600 pounds; it's that weight and that momentum pushing down and like curving into the tire.
100%.
No,
and then we had, like, we locked the rear suspension out. I have suspension stops for the dyno.
Big sled.
And then, you know, like, to get, like, you know, tuning and technical, Tim, like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. Like, you start throwing nitrous in, like, your tune-up needs to be a lot different than when it's fuel only. Like, you start
at that level
changing a lot of things. And I mean, we put, so this dyno pole, like, I guess I could just walk you guys through it. So you calibrate at 2,000 RPM with Cody, and then you come up to the start window. So my start window is 4,000 RPM. And then I get there, Cody turns on the load.
And it's dragging you right the fuck back down.
And it's dragging you down, so I grab a full jet to get me back to about 3,900. So the problem with this dyno is if you go, like, you hit 4,000, you turn the load on. If you hit 4,000 again and drop back out, it thinks you recorded the run. Mm-hmm. So you do all this staging and stuff, like, right around 3,900. So what I do is I grab that spool kit, and then I start also applying my brakes, my rear brakes, obviously. And then I grab another spool kit. So we're on 2 spool kits at the same time. Looking at the dialogue, boost is around like 60 pounds. So I would say about 1,800 horsepower is where you're starting the dyno run at.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get to 4,000, I flat foot it. And that's when the Max 5 takes over. And so if you add up all the seconds, we're on the load and all that for about 4 to 5 seconds. And then the actual, from the time I hit 100% throttle to the time I let out, was just over a second, like a second and like a millisecond. Very, very short run. And the truck registered 4,000 RPM to about 5,300 RPM. And the dyno registered 4,000 RPM to like 4,950-ish RPM. And that's where we, like, everyone keeps talking about it, like, the peak power is when I let out. So it was still making power.
Yeah.
The problem I have is on the Bosch, I set the fuel limiter to be a little bit more aggressive, because if the transmission did not hold at all, like I went the wrong direction with it, I wanted to make sure that we had a nice cushion there to catch the engine. That way we don't.
I mean, it kind of like, I'm looking at, I'm figuring a pulse width table in my head, right? Like, if you're starting to lose rail pressure and you're trying to add pulse width as you're losing rail, you're just going backwards, you know? So it's that same philosophy of, you know, are you just going to keep rolling downhill, or are you going to try and save this thing and help the motor out as much as you can, you know?
Yeah, so that's why we did it that way, and that's why I'm pretty confident in stating there's more in it. Now, whether a cast block will take that much more, I'm not sure.
But you're going to find out.
Well, I guess that was one of the questions that I had. Is this the same engine for the listeners? Was this the same engine that was in the truck from UCC?
Yeah. So, and to be fair, we did pull the head off. We had some valve train problems. We run an industrial injection stage 3 race head. It's been awesome, and they use stock locks and retainers. And to be fair to them, and this is not a stab at them, they said this is the first time they've ever had this happen. And I honestly, like, after talking to Sean, talking to Tyler Kipp over there, like, it is the first time. And I think that the issue is we have so much RPM now, and there's so much spring pressure. It was literally spider cracking the retainers and letting the locks pull further down. So they were awesome to work with. They sent us, I think we bent like 8 valves. They sent us 8 valves, all new valve seals. And then Jeremy Wagler was like, hey, I got these new valve springs for you to try out. Like, do you want to try them? And I said, sure, why not? So I got those coming. So now we run, if you're familiar with the old hardened 60-pound 12-valve retainers and locks, they look very similar to that. Very, very large lock, very large retainer. And so far, everything, like the truck fired up, we drove it into the trailer, like all that, everything seems to be fine. That's kind of the other reason why we're taking this weekend essentially off. We're going to go through the truck, through the trans, check the valve lash. But, you know, one of the big things we look for on a cast block cracking is there steam from the head studs, and is the oil pressure lower? Because the main oil passage that goes from the oil cooler on the passenger side that feeds oil over to the driver's side is called the main oil rifling or main oil passage. When it starts to crack, your oil pressure will decrease.
Makes sense.
And so far, we haven't seen any signs of that. So essentially, this is almost the identical engine in CCC. Again, all we did was fix the valves up with power driven, and then Will, you know, it's like anything. Like, you sell 1,000 of these cylinder heads, you do them one way. Will took the time to sit there with a flow bench and, you know, just absolutely perfect it. Like, chef's kiss the cylinder head, right? Like, just touched up this, touched up that, and was able to get us some more flow out of it as well.
Now, you're going to keep the motor into the truck until it gives you a reason to pull it. Am I understanding that correctly?
So we're going to try hit it again at Diesel Spam Dyno Day in Cedar City next weekend. So that would be the 27th, I believe. And then after that, I believe either if the engine survives, awesome, we'll pull it out, and I think we'll go through it. If it doesn't survive, then, you know, that's the risk you take. And we have crank, rods, pistons, cylinder head, camshaft. The only thing that's missing so far is just another deck plate block to get ready for next year.
So that was literally my next question. Do you go billet block? Do you stick with a cast block and you know, do a deck plate? Like, at what point?
Patrick's already got the billet block. He took all his money and bought his billet block. So, I mean, he's got Josh is stuck with cast.
So I think I talked to both Fleet and Jeremy Wagler. So I talked to Chase Fleet, talked to Jeremy Wagler about the billet blocks and stuff like that. And what I've come to the realization is I live way too far away to have one of those blocks because they do move around and they need touch-up machine work from time to time. And this isn't a stab at their billet blocks. Like, they're awesome. They're super cool. I truly do believe they'd probably hold a little bit more power. But being that this isn't my full-time job, and my full-time job is being a dad, and just the 5 or 6 events I go to every year, like, the $50,000 I could spend on a billet block, I could do way more with in other avenues of my life, right? So I think we'll go to a cast deck plate again. And my goals really for next year is to hit Pro Street hard. I really want to see like 520s, 5 teens out of that truck. So this off season, we've been getting a bunch of parts. So we got a black tie race lab, mid plate kit. Meyer is going to help me with the rack and pinions. I got new coilovers for the front from Fire Pumps. And then I reached out to Jeff over at Exergy, and I ordered a bunch more Bosch stuff. So I'll have the shock travel sensors, I'll have the shaft speed sensors, drive shaft speed. All my nitrous will now be done by the Bosch. So we're going to kind of really try to focus on making the truck have a respectable drag race time. Like I've told everybody, I suck at drag racing. I'm okay with it. Like, I do it because it's fun. I enjoy the people I do it with. I doubt I will ever see a record, especially with David's new four-wheel drive truck. Like, I think it's going to be an absolute handful.
Do you feel that, like, drag racing is kind of like that next segue that you want to get into to get better at, since you've kind of already played the dyno game for so many years, and you've kind of... I'm not saying that there's nothing left in the dyno game, but you've already set a lot of records. You've already done a lot of cool firsts. So is this the next challenge for you in the truck in general?
I think so. I do believe so. For me, like, the reason why dynoing is so popular out west is, like, just this month, there are 3 dyno events back to back to back.
Yeah.
And drag racing, like, I live in Southern California. There's a 330 track that's like 15 minutes from my house, but I was talking to the owner. He's not even sure if he wants to let me run just because of the safety aspect. So for me, like, I have to go to Verona, which is very hard because I'm pretty sure I'll drag my trailer getting into there. So I got to go all the way to Las Vegas to race, and it's hard to drag race. Sled pulling is super popular in California, just in the middle of it, not in the southern part. And, California is a very large state, north to south.
Yeah.
So I think it's like 6 or 7 hours each way to sled pull. So that kind of doesn't sound very fun. So I think we're going to focus on drag racing because there will be 4 or 5 NHRDA events.
Yep.
And I really want to try and hit them all and have fun and go fast with the truck and hang out with the people I like to race with and have a good time.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of power on tap, and like you're saying, you got a lot to learn and dial in. And I mean, there's you probably got 1,000 horsepower on some of these guys going in those. I don't want to say 5 teens, but that mid 550 area. I think you got a lot more power than some of those guys, and I think you could do a lot with what you're making and just the changes. And I saw you responding back to Corey on one of the posts talking about AFR and the sensors and the stuff that, hey, I did this as a budget and very fast, and now we're going to go back. We're going to add some of these sensors, and we're going to do some stuff differently now that you kind of got your feet wet. I also thought it was noteworthy that you went the Bosch route and not the Motec route. I mean, it just again shows that you're kind of willing to go against the grain.
Go the harder pathway just to prove it. Yeah.
It's not against the grain. Like, when I look at the people that support the Motec system, they're very intelligent people, but I've never been in with that crowd.
Yeah.
I've always been like a DDP guy and not an S&S guy.
Yep.
So that right there kind of, I'm not going to say puts you at ends with the Motec, but it's like, okay. And I've always used Exergy for like their 14 mil pump. And, I built a great relationship with Jeff over at Exergy. And, I told Jeff when we were doing the Bosch, like basically the Waggler had to redo some machine work on my block. And I called Jeff and I said, listen, I have this amount of money to spend. I said, I really just want the world's most sophisticated standalone 849. Like, if you could put that together for me in this budget, then I will do it. And so I sent my dynamite injectors to Jeff, and I was like, look, like, I run your pump. I'm going to buy this Bosch. If the dynamite injectors are a problem, like, tell me now so I can go a different route. If everyone can get along and because you're talking about a lot of direct competitors that are all invested in my truck. And
dude, there's nothing better than that once you get down and into it. Once everybody's on the same page, man, there's nothing better than that, but it's getting to that conversation.
Yeah, but I also feel like everybody gets a little gun shy, and like you open those doors and you realize, like, especially Lenny, right? Like, he is willing to help and willing to work, and like it's more of that collaborative effort of like, how do we get to that next step as an industry, right, or as a group.
Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, and like that's all I'm saying is, like, whenever I bring somebody new on, I make sure they can get along with everyone else that's there.
Yeah.
And Jeff's been absolutely fantastic to work with. Like, the availability even after work or on weekends, like we schedule it and stuff, you know, I don't want to encroach on his time, but like that. And then I really get along well with Levon. He's really, like, whether he knows it or not, like very heavy impact on how I do things and the knowledge that like talk and stand around some of these people in our industry and just listen to what they're saying. You will learn so much more because sometimes you don't even know. And
I witnessed, and I think Chris was even in the booth with you guys at UCC. I mean, I witnessed that in the 5 minutes that you guys were preparing, and it was just like, there's 8 of you badass motherfuckers all sitting here talking together, and you're getting ready to put this run together. I mean, you can see it, and you don't even have to be in the circle, you know?
You can feel it.
Yeah, and that's where it, you know, and so, and the big thing for me is, like, I feel like when somebody does something really cool, you know, it's really easy to forget about everyone that's made it happen. And whether that's, like, just the previous crew, the current crew, like, and I think for me, like my wife tells me, like, I'm a words of affirmation, love language kind of guy. Like, I like it when people thank you and do that kind of stuff. So, like, trying to remember every single person that helped you get there, even if they're not involved now, is, like, very important. Because a lot of these guys, they, you know, like, good buddy Gordon, like, I can't tell you how many nights he's wasted tuning 849, 848 stuff for me. And he doesn't tune my Bosch anymore, but there's still a lot of things that
he's a killer resource and a killer friend at the end of the day, you know. And I just you going full circle, I thought it was really cool to see. I don't know if that event was at Power Driven or if it was just Power Driven's stream, but the fact that was that 4,000 horsepower number and it was with the Power Driven stream behind it, I thought that was really cool. Just knowing where you came from and knowing the story, you know. Yeah,
and I mean, it was one of those things, like, I had to do something different, and I left with Will and Todd on good terms. Like, I gave them a month's notice and everything, and, you know, like, I get to go up, like, this weekend, I'm literally going up there to hang out, help, just BS, and do, you know, hang out with the crew, and, like, I don't know, there's very few people that you meet like Meyer. Like, Meyer is probably, as of now, like, my best friend I've ever had. And, you know, you want to keep those relationships, like, healthy, I guess, in a way. And that's some of the stuff you take away from some of the older guys in the industry. Like, you know, they might be competitors, but a lot of these guys are friends. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that friendship gets you into a lot of places, and that's why, you know, you dedicate a lot of time. Like, going to KOS just to help Meyer and David, like, for me, they've always been there for me, so why can't I just burn a weekend and go be there for them, you know?
And I think, too, you know, we were touching on this before the interview, but all the keyboard warriors, right, on all the forums and YouTube and everything else, you have these guys who might not even have a truck, they're nowhere near this level, but they all have an opinion, you know, they have something negative to say when all the people that are worth something in the industry that has had your back and had been in your corner or mentored or whatever, those are the guys that are cheering you on. But not every one of those guys need to comment or, you know, make a Facebook post about that. How does all the comments and all the negativity of those things that you read and see, like, does that have any effect on you?
I mean, I don't, like, not really. I mean, we were laughing at a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no one in that comment section I would trade places with. So I just keep doing myself, and, you know, I think because I'm 34 now, like, I think a 26 or 28, maybe even a 30-year-old me would probably be a little bit more, I wouldn't say, like, angry, but I would respond more to it. Now I just laugh. I'm just like, whatever. Like, and the cool part is I have so many supporters in the comments that fight it for me, and I let them take it. I think my favorite one of all was somebody commented like, "Oh, let's see this truck doing something useful," and like Ultimate Call Out Challenge replied with a video of me sled pulling this year.
Yeah.
Like, like I'm just like, the story writes itself.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't beat that, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like, it's a wild ride, and it was cool to take that step forward. And at the end of the day, anybody can come to that event. Like, I'm sure it'll be around the same time next year. If you want to do it, like, do it. If you want to try and beat my record and want to know how I did it, like, I'm more than happy to let you know exactly what I did.
Please do, dude. Right? You'll sit in the driver, or you'll sit in the passenger seat with them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, as long as Cody allows it. And like, dude, shout out to the Northwest Dyno Circuit though. I mean, Cody and I have been friends for a long time, but you got to be slightly insane to want to do that every weekend.
Yeah, that
for
dude,
9 months a year.
That dude's on a different level. He's got a screw looser too. Great guy. He's been nothing but good to me over the years, but that dude's on a different level as well.
Yeah. And Elmer, like shout out to Elmer as well, because Elmer's just as nuts. But no, I mean it's fun, man. And at the end of the day, whether you believe the number or not, it got a lot of people talking, and I did my best to make that one of the most smoke-free dyno pulls I've had of my career. And if that's the video that's going to go viral, at least it's a positive impact on the industry. So, oh well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like your truck made 1,500 horsepower and then it made 4,000, right? Like, you have a 3,000 horsepower number. You have, mid-20, 2,000 horsepower numbers to back up prior. Like, this is the evolution of growth. Like, people need to fucking chill out.
And I mean, we put up time slips that show 2,600 horsepower at the track. And I'll be the first one to tell you, like, there's no way I would take that tune-up and go down the racetrack. It's set up way too different. And I mean, like, some of the best Pro Street guys, like Lavon in the old single cab, and now Ziegler in that single cab, and Paul Cato, and like even Nick Bell in like the two-wheel drive, like, and a lot of these Pro Street guys, that are going 480s, 490s. God, who's the guy in Texas I always forget about? God, it's gonna bother me that I forget him. Phil Franklin, like, I think those guys are putting about 3,000 horsepower down.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So we're close. I know I'm not there, and I'm not trying to say we are, but we'll get there. I mean, heck, everything's an improvement.
We got to give you something to do, man. We can't just like have you, retiring at 34. That'd be no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but no, it is a lot of fun, and I love doing it. We tried to be as safe as possible. A lot of people were, yep, that was a bulletproof vest I was wearing. I had an extra engine or a transmission blanket on the firewall side of the truck, so if something did scatter, we had 2 cables, transmission blanket, drive shaft loops, U-joint scatter shields, axle studs. Like, I had a lot better tire. Like, that was another thing. Will Terry over at Power Gym was like, hey, you should try these out. So we were able to, with help from Michael Brown, get a better wheel choice, so then I could run the better tire choice. And those tires seem to take it incredibly well.
Yeah.
So what I have found is when you get to this level that I feel like I'm at, so many more people are willing to help you and collaborate, and it's really nice because it saves people a lot of money.
Yeah, no, and like we touched on earlier, I mean, it was also, it's nice to see now because that wasn't your experience 6 and even 4 years ago, and that's the cool thing about, seeing you travel down this road all these years.
Well, I mean, he also has it all documented. Like, if you wanted to build a 4,000 horsepower truck, you could go watch all of his YouTube.
I think he'd just sell you his.
He already said that because I watched the last video he posted. He's like, there's $1 out there, he'll sell it. So.
Well, Josh, I mean, always badass talking to you, man. I hope, I don't get to talk to you as much as we'd like to in general, but definitely be nice to put something on the books and catch up with you, you or David or both of you guys after King of the Streets, and just how the whole experience goes, and there's going to be a story there for sure,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. You're gonna have to get a translator for David, but maybe
if we slow the whole podcast down
to his level,
you know,
to his level.
Oh, poor Dave. Poor Dave. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Man, he's awesome. You guys are awesome though. You've been a great, you know, group of guys to kind of befriend over all these years.
We appreciate you coming out to King of the Street there,
dude,
homie, or not?
I would love to, but I have this problem where like I don't like to go race unless I have something to race, and I kind of.
Dude, bring that little. You know how many people? You know how many out of 480 compound kits I sell to 5.9 customers because of your truck? I literally am like, go watch this quad cab short bed Dodge with about the snappiest 1,100 horsepower you'll ever have in your life.
Yep. That was, dude.
You'll have to sell us another one, though.
Yeah, sell us another one, because I think our boss sold ours, but no, it's floating around here somewhere. I took that setup 6 years ago and then 4 years ago, and I mean, it is crazy, right? You talk about, I always go back to that dirt drag in my head where, again, your truck was probably making 1,800-ish, somewhere in there, and I'm making 1,200 horsepower. I mean, that truck was like the permanent seventh place King of the Street truck, because it competed in everything well, but nothing great. But
Which
again,
is consistent.
Just a basic. I mean, like you said, man, it doesn't get simpler than that. And as far as a street truck or a truck to go rounds in something like King of the Streets, I mean, it's an awesome setup, and I always had a lot of fun. Honestly, if the event was still in Ohio and I didn't have 4 kids, probably be a different story. Would like to get on a plane and just come see you guys and hang out, and I definitely owe Gordon at least that. But
yeah, well then, I mean, I'm sure Gordon has room in his camper, so why don't you just book a flight? Chris, you're welcome too.
Oh man, thanks.
This could be like the podcast revival.
This could be. I mean, I'm down to go.
You're not. 70 competitors.
Holy shit.
I was gonna try and get something together and just like show up with a truck and tell Sarah sorry, but like you're gonna let me in.
Dude, 67 millimeters stealth on an L5P, like 17 through 19 model, and let's just spray it and see what happens.
I mean, it would probably do 1,000.
I mean, we have that. The 5.9's got that 70 mil now. So
we do. Yeah,
that.
we were talking about. So we got that new 5.9 70 mil, and we were talking about just doing that with like a nasty manifold, like an external gated manifold, and potentially just spraying that and show up on like a stock appearing 1,200 horsepower, you know, Cummins.
I made like 1,400. I'm pretty sure somebody else made like 1,500. As long as you have an extra gate, like that HE351 factory to race turbo will eat.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they will eat.
Well, when is it?
It's
October, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the only weekend that I don't have anything going in October.
Dude, it's like it was match made in heaven.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll circle back around with you on that one. If we can toss something together, we will. The last time I went was 21, so I'm definitely due.
And you had 2 kids on.
And I will say, I know traveling with kids is terrible, but if you do decide to come out, like, just know you can bring some kids, and like Sarah is very good about catering to children. Like, there's usually bounce houses, and like it's a good time.
The one year they did like the mini RC car races and everything.
Really?
Oh, dude,
that's pretty cool.
She goes all out. She doesn't mess around with that stuff.
Yeah. You know what? That's what makes it a good
it's way
event.
more family friendly than UCC.
Well, I mean, out of 70 competitors, you got to think at least 3/4 of those, if not all of them, have families.
I did see closed event this year, though.
Really?
No longer open to public. Have to have a VIP pass or be with the racer.
Yeah, Sarah was just worried about the sheer amount of people and the pit crews and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just making sure stuff doesn't disappear that shouldn't disappear, and you know, the riffraff. And I mean, like, I'm volunteering as a part-time staff member as well for King of the Street. I keep telling Matt to just let me run the dyno. Like, he's so stressed about it. And I'm like, dude, like, I will run 70 trucks. I do not care. Like, I got it.
And realistically, I'll be happy if 45 show up. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I think if 70, if 50 show up, that's awesome. And then you got to think the attrition rate. Like, if you finish with 40, you're doing good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of good luck. Good luck in the air for that weekend.
Yeah. And I mean, that's any event. KOF, UCC, like, you know, I've heard from other competitors through the grapevine and stuff, like, oh, you know, this or that or this or that. Like, I've been there, but you need a great truck, a great crew, and then you need stuff to go your way.
Yeah.
Yep.
No?
Couldn't agree more.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you taking the time. Drive safe. Have a good, fun weekend. Weekend on Edge, right? It's Edge weekend?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well,
try not to be on edge
yeah,
at the Edge weekend.
This is his relaxed weekend. He's going to help, but he's not competing. So this is a cheap weekend for you.
We're gonna spud pull my dually and work stock. All right, so
probably the one you're driving there too.
100%. And my daughter's done a really good job, but she's actually in the back seat. I just told her we were gonna be on a phone call, but she's coming to come hang out as well. So yeah, I figure if I'm gonna drive that far, I might as well see what the old 68 RFE can do.
No. You might be in Cedar City, Utah a little bit longer if stuff goes south. That's all.
I have a great warranty on this transmission. You would not believe it. The best friend.
Well, Josh, if we can do anything for you guys, you know, as always, just let us know, and we appreciate you you being around and taking some time out of your day for us.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Thank your daughter for letting you do this as well, man. Appreciate you.
Do you hear that, Blakely? They said thank you for being quiet and letting me do this. All right, guys.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you.
You know, and I'll be the first one to tell you, like, there's no way I would take that tune-up and go down the racetrack.